Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whenever you happen to be listening to another episode of the Long League Nosh with myself, James. And as always, I am joined by my co-host, Adam, on this glorious evening. How are you doing, sir?
Yeah, very good. Still locked down, still going through it though. How are you yourself?
Yeah, not bad. Did you venture outside into the garden at all today to enjoy the weather?
Well, I did. It's very much like being stuck within Big Brother, a show that I always wanted to be on when I was younger, but now I've realised how absolutely awful it would have been. I've got the full setup. I've got one of the inflatable hot tubs out the back. I haven't got any chickens, but I'm living on the bare minimum on the shopping budget at the moment. It's not a good time. But unfortunately, the only people I've got to fall out with are my 3-year-old and my wife. So there's bigger consequences, really.
Yes.
So yeah, it's not quite the same as Big Brother. I'm not getting filmed, so that's probably one plus.
There's no diary room really. I suppose really you could say that this is your diary.
This is my diary room. This is very much my diary room.
Well, I'm glad I can be your big brother for this evening. But Adam, once again, we are not alone. We are joined once again by a guest on the show. I'm very delighted to say that we are joined this evening by Ground Hopping Mick. How are you, sir?
I'm very tired, but I'm very well. Thank you very much. Yeah.
How are you finding things at the moment with lockdown and situations? How are you kind of coping with things?
It's weird because you have a plan what to do because you've got a couple of weeks off or how long this is going to last for. You think, I'll do this, I'll do that. You do nothing. You sit there and you eat rubbish. And I see all these people doing the exercises. I'm doing none of that. I mean, I've not been very well the last week either. So, but yeah, I'm just really tired and bored. Really.
That sounds like half the country, to be honest, at the moment. Doesn't it?
So much more of that to come, I think. Unless you can do keepy uppies with a toilet roll, I think you're going to be.
I mean, yeah, exactly. I was trying to do it with a tennis ball outside the garden today, but the dog just got involved, so I just let her deal with it. So yeah.
So you don't obviously have to reveal your particular job that is that you do, or what sector, but are you able to work from home with your current job? Is that a potential option, or is that just like a no-go for moving forward?
Bits and pieces, but the main job needs to be done in the office, to be honest.
Right.
Yeah, so it's not, I'd rather be at work. I'd never think that. I'd never have thought that, but I'd rather be at work at the minute than being stuck in. But we're doing it for a good reason, for a great reason. So
this is it. Yeah, I think that was the thing. I was talked to you, Adam, about this on numerous occasions. But when I was still working from home, and up till the Tuesday just gone, I didn't actually mind the current situation from a personal perspective, because I was still doing my 9 to 5 job. So it broke up most of the day. But now I'm actually not working at all. The hours are dragging. They really, really are. And that one form of exercise is, it's how long do you drag that exercise out for before you start taking the mick? Do you know what I mean? It is a fine line. But
I put a post on Twitter today. There's one of the police forces in Leicestershire or somewhere. It might not have been Leicestershire because I don't know if there's any beaches in Leicestershire, but there's so they put a picture of a couple sitting on a beach eating chips.
Yes.
And a policeman, and I just replied with like, if exercise is sitting on your bum, eating chips, I would be an Olympic athlete. Just like, what is going on with the world?
It still baffles me that some people just don't get it. I just don't. What is there to understand? All you have to do is stay indoors. It's not difficult, is it, really?
I think what worries me is the longer that we don't grasp it for, the longer that those that are doing it properly
will get fed up.
Yeah, exactly. And that's when like mental health and stuff becomes an issue.
Massively.
Yeah. That's the thing. Like my parents have just come back from a cruise. They were around Australia and New Zealand. Now, luckily, no one on the cruise was ill or anything like that. There's been no reported cases of it. But they left before all of this started. So I haven't seen them now in well over a month. And I'm doing my part, staying at home. I haven't seen any of my sisters, none of my, no family members, no friends at all. and yet you still see people doing it. It's really starting to get really starting to grind me at the moment, I have to admit. But anyway, that news aside, let's move on and talk about what everyone is all here to listen to: football. Now, before we jump into our topics that we were going to talk about this evening, Mick, why don't you just kind of let everyone know what it is that you do, how you're involved in the non-league scene, and what it is that your brand is all about.
Yeah, sure. So basically, I started. I basically from the beginning, I lost the love of watching Premier League football, and I've always had interest in non-league football because I play a lot of Football Manager, and I always used to manage. Yeah, I always used to manage non-league teams in Football Manager. I'd never go straight to the Prem. I'd always manage non-league. Just thought I loved handling the finances, proper geek like that.
Yeah.
And yeah, I just thought one day I was going to go to my local team, Halstead, and I thought, you know what, I'm going to record it and see if I can pick up the best parts of the match. Initially, I thought I'd do it on YouTube, but I'm not the most technological gifted person, and I'm lazy. So I thought Instagram. I thought Instagram's great because you can edit it, cut it, and it was just done in like 15 minutes. So basically, yeah, I'll just go to all these non-league grounds, record the games, do like a little, I don't know if it's episode or show, put it on my story on Instagram, Ground Hopping Mick, and then put a highlight of the best part on Twitter, because a lot of interaction now is on Twitter, isn't it, with all the clubs and stuff like that. But yeah, mainly I just put it on Instagram and get the best highlights, like a little match of the day sort of thing, you know, the best parts of the game. And I've been lucky. I have been lucky with the games that I've seen because there has been quality football and quality goals. So yeah, that's basically.
I have to admit, the particular highlight, I think it was at the end of, might have been at the end of last season, where you did your end of season goal of the seasons, where you're asking people to narrow down the votes. Some of those goals, I mean, how there was a winner in the end, I don't know, because there was absolute blind.
Mad.
You have been really lucky.
Yeah, I don't know if it's. I just think that's just hand. I was so surprised, and it's not me just saying, yeah, I'm really surprised. I was generally surprised about the high standard of football. And I'm not even talking National League South or Isthmian Premier. I'm talking like county leagues I'm going to as well, and Essex Senior League games. And the quality that I've seen in some of them games have been really of high standard. And it's just, I probably have been lucky to get some rockets in that as well.
I think it's like really important that you do things like what you do to actually show the broader audience that there is quality in non-league football, to get people out of this whole thing of saying, yeah, well, if I'm going to watch football, I've got to go and spend £100 to go and watch a Premier League game. There's so much more to life than this whole pro game of football. And and even outside of it, there is quality play to be seen.
Yeah. And even like not people my age, but people younger as well, where all they just see is Premier League football. Just go out in your community, and there is down the road, and there'll be a game on. You know what I mean? So
you say you love football, they miss more of it than they realise.
Exactly, definitely.
Yeah, and if people want to find your channel, what is your handle? Do you know off the top of your head?
Off the top of my nut, it is probably groundhopping_Mick on Instagram and groundhopping on Twitter.
Fantastic. So let's open things up as we did last week. I quite like this feature of it, of the show, where we just ask you a few questions to kind of get you into it, just to find out a little bit more about you as an individual, and then we will crack on with our topics, because we've got some absolute belters to go through this evening. There's been lots of updates since the last time that we recorded, Adam. So, Mick, let's start off. Pub or club?
Pub all day long.
Yeah.
I went to a stag do last year in Brighton. Went to a few clubs, and I must have been oldest there by about 15 years. And I just thought, what am I doing? What am I doing here? So yeah, put me in a pub, put me in with a TV, couple of beers, watching anything really. Yeah, pub all day.
Good man. Chinese or Indian?
Now, the last podcast with Dan and Jack, you all said Chinese, and I was going, what? Chinese is awful because you eat it and you.
Whoa.
It is. It's Indian all day long. It's Indian all day long.
You're a man of rich taste. I can't have an Indian without spending 50 quid.
Where are you going? You're in.
That feeds two of us, but still.
I love that comment of rich taste from the man who. What was your tea selection from last time?
Lapsang Souchong. If you haven't ever tried it, honestly, it'll blow your mind.
You can't talk about rich taste when you are drinking that.
Mate, it's £3.50 for a box of 40.
I don't even know what that is. What's that? Tea bags?
It's tea bags. They're like a smoky taste.
I
really
thought I was posh because I had Twinings.
Twinings. It is Twinings that make it.
Oh, there you go. Then.
It's just not your English breakfast, you know.
Well,
something more special. Oh,
that might answer my next question then: tea or coffee?
Oh, that depends as well. When I'm in the mood, if I'm tired, it'll be coffee. But any other time, I'll drink a tea.
Do you know what? I find it very rare to find someone who likes both.
Oh, I love both. I could drink both. Yeah.
I think you're the same one, you Adam.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've had 2 coffees and 2 teas today, I think.
Yeah, that's the thing. I am very much like it. What am I in the mood for?
Yeah, exactly.
But given the choice at home, I tend to just chuck a tea bag in a cup.
Happy days. Favourite biscuit to dunk?
Oh, that's a hard question.
What's your go-to?
Question.
I don't know why people find this hard. There is only one answer.
No, there's not.
What do you mean there's one answer?
It's a chocolate-covered hobnob. Everything else is just not elite.
No.
No. With a coffee, I'd say a Lotus biscuit.
Oh my god. Yes.
Yeah.
Shout.
Yeah, exactly. Shout. Exactly. And with a tea, you're right, because a hobnob is good for dipping in tea. So yeah, I'd go hobnob. Yeah, good shout.
Those Lotus biscuits, the other benefit to them is that you can buy them in packs of about 800.
Yeah, you do.
So even when you do go on a binge, you're probably not going to finish the pack.
Yeah, exactly. There's loads. Loads.
My next question is going to be a very obvious one, considering the main source of your work, but Instagram or Snapchat?
Instagram, definitely Instagram. Just because, like you say, the source of what I do.
Exactly. Favorite artist or band?
Oh, that's a hard one as well, because today I'm in a Kings of Leon mood, or any sort of indie band at the moment. But I can listen to anything from Ice Cube to Frank Sinatra. So I'll listen to anything. That sounds so pretentious, doesn't it? I
just want to get you like a set of decks and see if you can remix the two.
Yeah, can you imagine that? Yeah,
it'd be pretty sick.
Yeah.
Coming to a podcast near you. Favorite TV program?
Again, The Sopranos is the all-time greatest TV show ever made.
It's like you've never watched The Wire.
I have watched The Wire, and it's not as good as The Sopranos, I'm afraid.
I haven't watched either, so I can't really.
Oh my goodness, James!
Have you seen The Sopranos?
No, I've never seen it.
Have you, Adam?
Yeah.
What, you think The Wire's better?
Yeah. The Wire grips me more. The Wire, I got so annoyed at what happened in the penultimate episode, I never watched the final episode.
What, The Wire? You've never watched?
I was that invested in the characters because of something that happened in the penultimate episode. I couldn't I couldn't bring myself to watch the final episode. I loved it so much.
That's how much of a fan you was. You were that hurt. You just didn't want to watch. That's great.
Wow.
True story.
So going with Sopranos. Favorite film?
Godfather 2. Pacino and De Niro together.
There's a bit of a theme going on there. I know the answer to this because I'm currently looking at the picture that you've got on Skype right now. Cats or dogs?
Oh, dogs. Oh my god. Why would you want a cat?
You'll be surprised.
Really? Have I offended? Have you got a cat?
No, I haven't got anything. No.
Okay.
No. Do you know what? I grew up with 2 cats and 2 dogs in my household, and just watching the destruction that they caused, I am not having that. No way. I've spent a lot of money sorting this place out. I am not having anything coming in and destroying it. Although, having said that, the 4-month-old is having he's having a good time at the moment, but we won't go down there.
Well, man can be a fan of pussy without actually having a cat, yeah?
Oh god.
And we edit that out. Sky or BT?
Sky. I hate BT. Sorry, BT. I hate BT. It nicked the Champions League. Why did you do that?
Yeah, well, yeah, that's.
And they brought you Michael Owen.
And it brought us Michael Owen and Robbie Savage.
Yeah, well, yeah, but we have Jamie Carragher, so.
True, very true.
Other than football, your favourite sport?
Basketball.
That's interesting.
NBA, yeah, big fan.
Yeah.
Been to a lot of games in London. Went to United States. Went to New York and watched Brooklyn. Yeah, I love NBA.
And
Well,
we've got three final ones, and then we'll move on to our topics of discussion. Who do you support? What is your team? I think I can guess.
who do you think?
I'm going to say West Ham.
It's not. No.
No?
No, I don't want to say. It's open for banter, isn't it? It is open for banter. If I say it, I'm a typical.
You're a Man United fan or something stupid, aren't
you? Yeah, Cockney Red. Yep.
Brilliant.
No wonder you turned to non-league, mate. Jeez.
Yeah. Before doing this, I always said I'm never going to tell who I support because I'm just going to get mugged off every time. But I thought, what the hey, let's just say it. Yeah, United.
So, your favourite player growing up?
Paul Scholes. Don't even have to think about it. Paul Scholes.
That was a very quick answer. The best player you've seen live. Obviously, it's better than Adam's answer last week. Then
we all know it won't be a Man United player.
No, here he goes. No, I've actually been to Old Trafford, and Ronaldo probably. I remember it was I think it was like pre-season friendly. I think one of the games, and it was Ronaldo and Rooney training together, and just some of the stuff they were doing was just like wow, like very good. But I've been to a few, obviously West Ham to watch United play West Ham, and when they sing "You Only Live Round the Corner," I'm thinking, yep, yeah. And Spurs. I think Berbatov's a really good player as well that I've seen live. I don't know, it's just so lazy. Yeah, I think Berbatov or Ronaldo, if I'm honest.
Good, I like it. There were some good answers in there.
Were they?
Yeah,
that's all right then.
You've caused a couple of debates in there, which is great. I love it. Again, guys, as always, if you want to get involved, let us know in the comment section your answers to some of those. And if Mick has offended you, then I'll link to his Twitter in the bio.
Yeah.
So, lads, let's move on to our topics of discussion for tonight. Let's go on to the big one. We were talking last week about the fact that money in non-league is slowly but surely drying up. Whose responsibility is it to come in and help non-league clubs? Because we've already seen a number of teams have folded, which has just been horrible. And Adam, you even sent me a couple of messages today, didn't you, about two clubs asking to be, was it removed
from the respective league? Yeah, relegated down.
Yeah, which it's horrible to see. And then we've had obviously the news that the Premier League has injected in, I believe, 125 million or 130 million into help out the EFL and National League. So nothing below the National League. So we've got the obviously National League and the South and North leagues, but below that, no donations. But my real question is, why is it the Premier League and not the FA? That's what I want to know.
Yeah, I think it is a good question, and I think I raised already the fact that the FA had sort of been pointing clubs in the direction of local grants. I think the FA are going to be slightly worried as to how much they can help when you think of how many clubs could claim.
Yeah.
Whereas the Premier League doing it, they're creating a pot. I don't think the FA could create a pot. I think that bill could rack up to an amount that would probably put them out of business. Some wouldn't argue with that and would prefer things to be started all over again sometimes, I think, with some decisions. But the FA have still got to be able to continue their duties in a well-maintained and regulated way. And I'm sure that their business has got some sort of insurance in there for if clubs go wrong. But you've got to think, if something like this happens now, what kind of precedent are the FA setting themselves for the future if someone needs to come knocking on their door? Are they just going to be a bailout machine?
Well, part of the statement actually says that the EFL money is an advance. It's not an extra injection of cash. It's an advance of what they would have already got from the money trickling down.
So
that
we're going to see some lean seasons then, maybe.
And that's the FA saying that.
No, this is the Premier League. So this is the Premier League statement saying the EFL money is an advance. Importantly, it will aid cash flow in the immediate, but football needs to find a way to increase funding to the EFL and non-league clubs in the long term.
Wow.
It on paper and as a headline, 125 million to the EFL and in National League. Bravo, well done, Premier League. Thank you very much. But when you actually get into it,
it's not.
What is it really?
Could I make a point though on that?
Go on.
The FA is asking them to solve a problem in the long term, which it has helped promote to create with all of the money that they've allowed in through the TV revenues, with making that non-capped and focusing it on the Premier League. And that's where everything stems from, where we're now in a culture where people think football is those 20-odd clubs in the Premier League.
100% agree. Yeah, the Premier League just runs the show now in this country, in my opinion.
It's not even in the pyramid anymore.
Yeah, it dictates it now, and I just think they're in control, not the FA. They're the ones with
back
the
to what what's his name, Matt Hancock said earlier on, didn't he? Where players need to start chipping in for going cutting their wages and donating parts of it to certain things. It's like that whole thing is, well, footballers are rich. Well, yeah, only in the top 2 divisions of England are they. The rest of the football pyramid, it's not rich at all.
You could almost say it's only in the top division and a half in England as well, because there have been some damn poor teams playing that championship.
Oh yeah,
I remember I'm watching the Sunderland Till I Die season 2, and I think some of it said Premier League on average earns 60k, I think, and then it dropped to something like 14k in a championship, and then League 1, League 2 is a couple of grand a week these players are earning, and that's the fall. That's the fall in money that they earn, and they expect. I don't know about the footballers being asked. It seems to me they're a scapegoat. They're being used as a target because it's easy.
100%.
Everyone knows they earn a lot of money. No one's turning around saying, "What about all these people in A-list films?"
Yeah, how about all the actors and even the government themselves, even the MPs? I don't know. They probably are sending money in, but why don't we go? Hang on, how about you take a 30% pay cut before because they're probably on good money as well.
MP pay isn't as amazing as you'd think. It's good, but it's not as amazing as you'd think. But I think that there are they could target a set band of taxpayers maybe.
Yeah.
To help out. But then how many people are really going to want to be involved in sport? Because there are more issues than just the football. So by keeping it to the Premier League, at least they're trickling money down within one ecosystem, rather than saying, footballers are an easy target. But if you said, you're involved in cinema, I want you to start paying some of the footballers and put a fund in for local sports, well, you'd probably argue that they'd want more money in local drama and stuff like that to ensure entertainment carries on going. So they've been targeted because the football runs this country in a way, sport-wise, and it has been in the news over and over and over again. The footballers seem to be the only solution in terms of keeping that ecosystem and trying to let the money slip down.
There's two points to the headline and what he was actually saying. One is a distraction technique, which is brilliant because it then diverts some of the attention away from what the government are doing. It's fantastic. It's Paul Lambert-esque, distracting from what is actually going on to
steady.
Look at me.
He's the king of PR. Literally, the government.
PR Lambert. He's the king of it. And the second thing,
Lambert and Johnson. What a government that would be.
Oh Christ! Can you imagine? The second point is the fact that the Premier League footballers, with the wages that they do earn, the amount that they're actually taxed, if they decide to then cut their wages, potentially the government are then going to be getting in less tax from those wages, which then means less money goes into resources. So I don't really
Exactly.
think he's actually thought that statement through. It's just been a blurt of, oh, how can I distract the media? Oh yeah, look at those footballers. They earn a lot of money. It's just pathetic.
I don't.
Really pathetic.
I think he's slapped football with a very broad brush, when what he probably meant was those footballers that are earning £300,000 a week, with
Yeah,
which
and I
is the upper 4 or 5%, maybe, if that, at clubs. It's the odd player that is earning disgusting money. I think it's a pot shot at that. I don't think that's something that's going to the very standard footballer. Like, you can't. That makes it sound really disrespectful. The bog standard footballer, like whatever. But do you know what I mean? It's those that are earning the ridiculous money that you're sort of saying, have you really got a bit too much there for what you need? Could you help out somewhere else?
Do you not live within your means as well? They probably don't. But if I was a millionaire, I would get a nice house that would cost a lot. I've always got a hole in my pocket, so I'd always spend how much I have, and that's probably not good financial.
Amen to that.
But there's footballers out there that will have a lot of bills, or will have a lot of things to pay out, because they are living a luxury life because they've earned that money. And now
just look at Kyle Walker in the news. He's got things that he has to pay out for.
Allegedly.
Yeah, no facts yet. Allegedly.
But I think you're a nail on the head with it, mate. Like, everyone lives to their means.
Yeah.
And you can't take that away from people. They've still got mortgages to pay, I can tell you that much.
But back to the main headline of it only being up to a national league level, that's worrying from my perspective, and I think for all of us who are involved at grassroots. I'm talking proper grassroots football.
Yeah,
no money is being filtered lower down than the National League. I mean, yeah, it's a great gesture, and I said it makes a headline. But where is the help coming from to protect the proper lower league football? Where is that going to come from?
That's where they've got a problem, because like in step 6, there are more clubs than make up step 2 and above, I believe, or step 3 and above.
Yep.
There's over 600 clubs.
Yeah.
So 50 pence isn't going to fix this. Do you know what I mean? It's thousands and thousands of pounds per club.
Yeah.
So, if you said every club needed £50,000 to cover their running costs, to keep the lights on, to get the pitches still so they're in a playable condition when we are allowed to come back, that's me in my head just allowing for 5 more months of this, like £10,000 a month to run a club if there's contracted staff. Now that genuinely isn't that much money when you account for things. 600 times 50,000 is a mental amount of money. That covers one step.
But like you say, there's already been. I mean, I was scrolling through Twitter today, and I've looked at about 2 or 3 clubs that have already said, basically, we can't carry on. We're going to have to fold, and there'll be plenty more, I think, in the future, unfortunately, because, like you say, it's just going to the National League, which is all well and good, but when's it going to trickle down? And it's sad as well, because I saw Harlow, their ground got broken into as well, and it's just one thing after another. It's just one thing after another for these clubs, and it's just
do you feel like the FA are saying they don't really have as much care for this level of football?
Oh God! If they could scrap it, they would. 100%, they would. It doesn't make them any money.
Yeah, that's the thing. When it all boils down to, you could talk for all day. You could talk all day about this topic or any topic involved in football. It will always come down to money, and that's when the Premier League will just step in.
And do you know what? Where that shines is where they've said that as soon as it's safe to resume, they're looking to make the FA Vase, FA Trophy, and FA Cup continue.
Yeah.
They pay out prize money for those competitions, but they also have entry fees, I believe, and they also are going to receive a lot of money when the finals go to Wembley.
Yeah, exactly. That's what it all ultimately boils down to, doesn't it? Do you know what I mean? These injections of cash that are slowly starting to trickle down. Do you think? And I know what the answer is, but do you think, obviously, again, they've made a mistake by cancelling the season for lower leagues at this point already? We're the 5th of April. The season has been cancelled, and yet we still don't know what's happening with the National League, EFL, Premier League, other leagues around Europe.
Can we change the question around a bit? When do you think would be the right date to make a decision that it would be okay to cancel it?
But how long's a piece of string? Because you don't know how long this virus or lockdown will last for.
And that's how can you judge if it's too early or not?
Exactly, you don't.
Because none of the other leagues have done it.
Oh, I see what you mean. So what you're saying is, do you think that it should have been one statement for everybody?
Yeah.
Right.
Wow.
There should. I know it's very difficult to get all of those guys into a conference call because they can't go into a room, obviously.
But essentially, if it's ratified by the FA, they could have just taken the decision higher. Because it's going to be the same board that ratifies every decision. So I'm not sure they would have all needed to come together to make the decision.
No, but if you've still got, all the leagues above, let's say, for example, right, despite what the next topic that we're going to be talking about, the letter that has gone to the FA today to say that clubs are appealing, or not appealing, but asking them to reconsider their decision to cancel the season, right? That is now been made. They've already made a decision that this season is going to be cancelled, null and void, whatever. We're starting again whenever we possibly can. What do you then do in terms of promotions, relegations, etc., into the leagues above that are then potentially going to turn around and go, well, do you know what? We're not going to do that. We are making a decision that we are going to resume the seasons when it is safe to do so. Say, for example, in 6 months' time, if that is a potential date. All these teams that are in the higher leagues, and they're carrying on with this season, but yet the lower leagues have
There'll be no relegation at step 2. Promotions and relegations above that will count.
Yeah, but that's not
fair. It's not fair, but that's what's going
to happen. Yeah, that's what's going to happen, isn't it?
It's just, like I said, I think they have made a decision far too early. We know we need to see the potential results of the fact that people are, 95% of the country are following the rules and staying indoors. Let's see some progression. Let's see some statistics about, is staying at home curing this for the time being? Let's get the next month or so kind of in the bag, so to speak. It's a horrible term to use in the current situation, but let's just get that done. Let's get some data from it, and then we can figure out what the hell's going on. Rather than they have jumped the gun so early on this, and I keep repeating myself on every podcast we're doing at the moment, but I still cannot understand why they have done it at this point.
What would you have done then, Adam? What would James? What would you do if you was head of the FA? Would you let it carry on? Would you let the season go on?
I said in the last one, I don't understand why we're so concerned about starting next season when we don't even know the outcomes of what's going on for the end of this season.
It carry on this season, but then end.
I don't understand. I've said it, but I said it last time. Why are we so worried about starting next season? What is so important about starting next season? Why?
And I think the argument about contracts will run out. Players might not want to play for the club. People make the whole thing a bit of a charade by just playing the under-18, so they have no outlay. If you want to demean the competition and do that, absolutely fine. But at the end of the day, new players come in these non-league clubs every flipping year anyway. So if it is new players that finish the season off, fine. If players want to stay with the clubs to see it through, also fine.
I wonder what would happen to the people that are in the FA Vars still, whose contracts are coming up to the end of the season. Would they want to hang around?
I should imagine so.
Well, this is,
You're not very often going to get a pop at Wembley, are you, in your career?
This is it. Some players will make an effort to...
it depends if you're one of those type of people that would be prepared to roll the dice. Like some people just couldn't be bothered, I don't think. I think in non-league, you meet a weird variety of people. Like there's players that take it really, really seriously, like proper pre-match rituals, everything that they go through, and you get others that clearly just turn up for banter, and then they couldn't care one way or another, and some of them would, sometimes you see people, and I think they'd rather be at home with their slippers on and maybe a pipe in their hands than they would.
I mean, I know a few. I know one or two managers in non-league, and I'm not going to but they know players that would leave for an extra tenner, a week.
100%.
Yeah, But
100%.
I think they should hold on. I really hope that this gets sorted as soon as possible, because a lot of people nowadays, football fans, are becoming like I am, falling out of love with Premier League, because if you look at Spurs, Bournemouth, Newcastle, all these clubs have gone on furlough. Liverpool, and
Norwich.
have you Norwich as well? Wow.
Yeah, we did that. Yeah, I said last time I got so much abuse from my Ipswich mates that they have been. You can't defend it. You can't.
But what I'm hoping is they'll go, hang on a minute, there's a club down the road, we'll go watch them, and then buy a season ticket. Then they can have like a pint.
In Suffolk, we're already seeing it though, because people are giving up on Ipswich because they're just garbage.
Well, that's another thing. Ipswich are rubbish. So
yeah, and literally everyone's going from that. That was just going to non-league, and then local attendances are swelling.
And you still got Freddie Sears up front.
Who? Yeah, he turns up sometimes. He's quite injured. He's like a lame greyhound that got sent to the kennels, but they still have to pull him out every now and again because his uncle's got a bet on.
Oh my god!
Yeah, I like him. I like Freddie Sears, and that's there you go. We'll move on. So we briefly talked about it. The letter to the FA went out. Adam, you know more about this letter. You've read through the contents. I've briefly skimmed through it.
Yeah.
What is it that has been said? What is the main message that has been trying to get across to the FA? Or, the headline is season termination for step 3 to 7. What has been said, and what are they asking the FA to do or look at?
Anyone that follows Ollie Bayliss will know that he's been following this cause and staying very, very close to it throughout. But he is very dedicated to non-league outside of our immediate area. But I'd recommend dropping him a follow just so you can stay up to date with it, because his coverage of the issue has been incredible. He has managed to get hold of the Excel spreadsheet of all clubs that currently oppose the decision, as well as the letter, which has now been drawn up by a legal team. It has gone to a legal team now.
That's brilliant.
So 3 clubs have sorted out the legal proposal, and they represent the rest of the current 151 clubs, although the legal letter says that they are taking on more clubs by the day for representation.
Now, don't worry if you don't know the answer to this, but do we know the 3 clubs that are representing everybody else? Is that in the letter?
It is not stated who they are. That's probably for data privacy, though.
Right. Okay. Fair enough.
More than anything, Walter Morris is the solicitors as such that have been have been appointed. They're from Leeds, and they have written directly to the Football Association at Wembley Stadium to get an answer. And it is an extremely formal but very thorough read, and it poses the questions I think football fans are asking. It goes through what has happened, and it asks the questions about who actually came up with this decision. Why was it cut? Why was the decision made? Why did it appear that the solution had already been sought before the clubs had been consulted? Why were there no representatives consulted from both the women's and the disabled game? Yet those were expunged as well.
Yeah.
That's the FA all over it, really.
But there's a lot of points in there that are quite poignant, to be honest, and it asks some absolutely incredible questions of the decision.
Yeah.
And the sign off on the letter is outrageous. It's brilliant. It's, if I can just go to the bottom, I've got all of the attachments here with it as well, so it's quite long. But it says at the bottom that the principle to finish the 2019-20 season remains the priority for the clubs, even though it's impossible at this moment to know when or how the season may resume. If in due course a decision is taken across the game that the season will be terminated, they appreciate that the same position will have to apply to them.
Wow.
So, if it's okay, if everyone gets expunged, this is settled. Doesn't go any further. But in the letter itself, I mean, it touches on some points, and I don't think I'm going to read through the whole thing. It'd be good if someone could check my Twitter feed, or you could check my Twitter feed if you're listening at home. I put up a little piece from the letter, which I felt.
Let me see if I can find it now for you whilst we're chatting.
I've got it right in front of me now. So I put a paragraph.
Effectively, sorry, they're saying that if the rest of the football pyramid decides that we're going to scrap this, scrap the game, then we will go with that decision. Is that effectively what they're saying?
Yeah. If not, they seek for the season to be continued or a solution to be found which merits the 75 to 80% of the season that's been played.
Yeah.
So, in brief, I'm not going to go through all of it. Obviously, teams agree that when a league would be immediately ended, then there would need to be a finishing position. It's ideal for some clubs and not others. Some clubs, however, even though there's not an outcome that would be in their interest, believe firmly in the nature and sporting integrity of promotion and relegation of the pyramid system, and that finishing a season that is 70 to 80% complete is more important and meritorious than protecting one that has not yet started, which is a point James has made in the last couple of podcasts, and may not do so, or may in itself need to be truncated, which they're also recognising that next season may not even be a normal one regardless. If there are any clubs who are using this national and global emergency opportunistically to try and quash a disappointing season or a precarious position in the league and start again, then that is not only deeply unsavourable but also unsporting. And it flies in the face of sporting integrity, which proudly underpins football in this country and why our national sport is revered around the world.
Of course there's clubs exploiting it. There's managers are going to exploit. There's managers rubbing their hands as well because he's not had a good season. And they're like, well, that's all right.
I saw a post from Avil Church go up, and I will name them because I thought it was awful. The minute the decision came out, considering they're deep in relegation fight, they just tweeted, "We are staying up."
Wow.
Yeah, talk about distasteful. Yeah, there's clubs that are going to love it, and they won't. Well, they have. They've come out and said it, but a lot of clubs won't. A lot of managers won't. But that's my opinion. A lot of managers will be thinking, "Well, I've dodged a bullet here. Clean slate next season, then."
No relegation on my CV.
Yeah, exactly that.
I don't understand it. I don't understand how clubs could use it opportunistically, but at the same time, I feel like
business is business, Adam. I'm afraid. Do you know what I mean?
If we're saying surely, if we're saying that we've played 80% of this season and the results don't count for anything, how can we then only potentially play a season next season, which may only be 75% in duration due to what's happening, and call that a full season and have relegation and promotion off the back of it? It's the same thing.
Because it suits certain clubs to others, Adam. It suits certain individual to others. It's all about
we're saying next season's okay to do a short one, but we couldn't do it this year.
But again, this is what I got absolutely hammered for last week. I received quite a few direct messages about it where people were saying that it's stupid to drag on this season into next season, but you're then going to try and condense next season into potentially 3 or 4 months worth of football if you want to stick to the same perimeters of it's August to May every single year. It makes absolutely no sense to worry and start next season.
This decision stinks more of the fact that they're worried that players won't be able to go on their annual holidays without realising that no one can go on the flipping things anyway.
Mick, what's your thoughts around? Because myself and Adam have talked several times, over the past few podcasts, etc. Our thoughts surrounding the decision that's been made. Do you have you changed your mind, or have you stuck with one thought and gone with that? What do you think?
I've just got an headache. I'll be honest with you. It's just too much. I just think I personally thought cancelling the season was a good idea at the start, and then literally listened to what you said last week, and then thought maybe what you're saying's got a bit of a, it makes quite a bit of sense. And I really don't know. I can't make a really detailed argument in it. I've just got such a headache about it.
Can I make a note on what you said there about cancelling it? there is a legal argument that's been presented in that document where clubs are going to struggle financially because anyone that's purchased a season ticket will be due part refund. Sponsors could be due part refund because their legal obligation for the sponsorship has not been completed.
Yeah.
However, legally, because the results have been expunged, it may leave clubs open to be able to be claimed against by every person that's bought a ticket for every game.
That's a good point. It is a good point.
It's in that document. It's been made, and that would mean refunding all tickets sold throughout the season, plus other costs. There's a massive financial sector in there about how it could affect clubs. But I can tell you now, clubs that get money in for those things, that money doesn't tend to just sit in the bank. That money will be gone. So if people tried to financially claim off them, yeah, I mean, I've just found it here. Like the greater financial concern is made up of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. There's 10 bullet points on it.
Because this, you know, from a purely business perspective, those companies would be well within their rights to start demanding their money back because a contract hasn't been fulfilled. They haven't got what they feel is justified in terms of, you know, advertisement and stuff like that. And they're probably going through just as much hardship as what a football club is. And they are going to be wanting to try and get hold of every single penny that they possibly can to survive as a company, as a business. And, you know,
People are fighting for themselves now, aren't they? They're not fighting for each other.
You know, down at non-league level, you're not getting big name companies sponsor you. You're getting the local estate agent, you're getting the local builders merchant, who are now all fending for themselves. So it is perfectly reasonable for someone to go after it. If you remove the football element away, if this was one company disputing against another one, say, for example, you know, in, I don't know, like the building trade, whatever.
Yeah.
They are perfectly within their rights to start going after that money.
So something else on here which will have to be something that would have to be refunded and often gets purchased in advance. Loss of match day sponsorship. Clubs will have sold that up and down the country for games that can't happen.
If those reconstruct, like them companies are after, they're going to try and get that money back, wouldn't they need to go to court and do a lawsuit? Would they even have enough money to try and get that? It's ironic because they probably...
No, because they wouldn't even need to do it. They could request it from the club and then threaten to go to court because it's unfulfilled contract on their part.
Oh, wow.
You sign a contractual agreement when you go through it.
Yeah.
So, like this on distance selling regulations, like if you're not actually delivering the goods, you have to refund it or go to court.
Because with this document and what has been produced, this is all non-league clubs coming together and having themselves represented, which is great. This is exactly what people who are saying that the season shouldn't be cancelled. This is the perfect result that financially there is something legally now in place that we can at least start having a conversation to say, right, scrapping the season shouldn't be done. But when it's an individual club looking after their individual needs and a company is coming after them, the moment you get that letter come through on your door, what do? You don't have the money to be able to defend yourself. Regardless of whether or not the person that is now saying you owe us money has got money to take you to court, you don't have the money and the resources now to defend yourself.
So you have to give the money back or you go bust.
Exactly it. And how, you know, the letter is perfectly right. And I know we get a lot of stick, Adam, because of the fact that we are Stowmarket boys, and of course we're in the boat of let's not cancel the season, etc. I'm a Norwich fan. From my perspective, Norwich not getting relegated is the perfect result. It absolutely. Do you know what I mean?
As an Ipswich fan, cancelling the season is brilliant, so I can forget about what's happened.
Exactly. This is so. That argument for me is pretty redundant, as far as I'm concerned. Against me and you. But
I think that you can tell that there's a difference from clubs saying I don't. You know, last week we had clubs saying I don't agree with this and making their own little statements, and they went up and clubs wrote. As soon as you've involved legal people, this hits so hard in terms of what it is. Like one of the points on here, like you can tell they are hitting the FA with every point that they could. They've sat down and worked it out. One of the points is loss of secondary spend, especially for the last home match of the season when revenue is at its highest.
Yeah.
So they are. they are going with the FA at the fact that if you're not going to let us finish this season, then we're going to lose on the big gate, as well as everyone coming through the turnstiles that buys food, drink, merchandise, everything else. We're going to put that in as well.
Yeah.
It's just a lose-lose for everyone, I think, at the end of the day. No one can do anything right. There'll always be clubs and people that are upset.
But do you think that somebody that gets an average gate of, say, 60 people in, say, step 6 and was in 15th in the league, so no chance of going up and probably couldn't go down with how the league is, but not too many people come. Do you think they're really going to be bothered about signing this petition and saying, I don't think this is fair? Because the result wouldn't matter to them either way.
No, yeah, exactly. Yeah.
They probably won't get a massive swell of people on the last day if their average attendance is always fairly low.
Mm.
It's just about the integrity of the game, isn't it? That needs to, and that's why I think it should be completed just for the integrity of the game, because you can't just finish off with 75% of the season done. That's ultimately my opinion down to the season. It should be finished.
But the thing is, what it comes down to is the fact that there is no right or wrong answer at this particular point, because we are only 2 weeks into lockdown. I say lockdown, it's not a lockdown. It's just, that's another PR BS as far as I'm concerned. But we won't go down that road. That's more of a government podcast. But I'm not in that mode. We're still only 2 weeks into this. We don't know where we're at, where we're going, how long this is going to take. We are like months behind the other countries, and they're still picking up the pieces from what's going on. So it started off a conversation, and I'm glad that letter has now come out. But realistically, from a legal perspective, that just opens up a whole can of worms, and who knows how long that's going to take to settle. And
I think it's amazing though, because like what started on a statement from the FA just saying we're expunging all results, that was one podcast. The next one was what's our personal opinion really on it and how would we get around it. We've now got a legal side of it. This has all happened within 10 days.
Yeah.
We've had 3 different points of view.
You'd think there's nothing to talk about, when football's finished, but there's so much now. There's so much now that's going on. It's just blowing my mind because, it's crazy. It's absolutely crazy.
So the next topic then, if we continue to see clubs dropping at the rate that they are, would a potential restructure of the leagues, this is something you wanted to talk about, wasn't it, Adam, how long would it take to see how many clubs does it take before we're going to have to start thinking, right, who's actually left? What do we do with the leagues if if one league loses, say half of its teams?
I think you've got an issue where you could see 2 teams go out of each league easily.
Yeah, probably.
And if that 2 became 4, say, and or maybe start working towards 25% of last year's fill has gone.
Yeah.
What does that ruin the integrity of the league as well?
But ultimately, would the FA even care? They would just, it'll be easy just to restructure the whole thing, because wasn't it this season they restructured certain leagues and there was a lot of travelling for certain clubs.
They did, but that was due to continue. The restructuring is due to continue into next season. That's been postponed now. So additional teams were due to be promoted, and there was going to be a different system in place to try and sort out that more localized travelling issue. There was going to be an option in step 5 and step 4 to sort of swap a couple of teams about and stuff, dependent on the results of a playoff. But that has been postponed.
Right. Yeah. I just feel the FA can do a bit more, but I don't think they'll have a problem with restructuring everything, because ultimately it's the Premier League that matters, and that's where the money comes from. Sad as it is, that's my opinion on it.
Yeah,
it is sad because grassroots is where players start.
Exactly, they'll lose a lot of talent. The amount of clubs that have gone already, they'll lose a lot of talent from it.
That's the thing, because at the moment we are such an early stage into this whole pandemic that the clubs have already been making these decisions based on the fact that this is only going on for the next month. Let's say, for example, these rules and restrictions that we have at the moment are only in place for a month. Clubs have already gone because of that month. What then happens then in a couple of weeks' time, when then we get another announcement to say, right, it's going to be another month. How many more clubs are then going to go, oh, do you know what? We can't keep doing this. We're going to have to go. Another month then gets put on top of that.
But you know what the problem is, though, James? That is a good point, right? But the problem is, say the next month, so the lockdown is more severe. Everyone's got to have the common sense to know that we're not going to come out of this on an immediate, we're in lockdown one day, we're not the next day. It's going to be tapered back off again. So if the next day of lockdown means you can't go out, you can't exercise, you can't do anything whatsoever, that increases the time almost twofold. And people have got to have the common sense to realise that if anything does get more serious, we're not coming out of this any quicker.
Yeah.
Regardless of what it does in terms of virus suppression. And I think clubs will start looking at it at that point, not just to say how much longer can we go on for. They'll start looking at it and think, well, even if we can go on today, 3 months down the line, we wouldn't be able to. I'm just going to call time on it.
Yeah.
What's the point?
But that is what I'm saying. It's just we've already had clubs dropping out now when we're at a very, very early stage of this. It's only until something is put in place where someone goes, because like you said, that grant money is not going to be there for everyone. It's not going to last forever, and it's not even. Is it an FA thing? I don't even think the grant is an FA thing, is it? It's
been collected through the Premier League.
So, until someone comes out and says, do you know what? This is what we're going to do to make sure that clubs survive. This is going to keep happening again and again and again and again and again and again. We're going to have this constantly happening weeks on end because there is no end date. There's no way of being able to plan for this. So until someone says, look, this is the pot of money, this is how we're going to help you guys, it's not going to stop. And as I said, it can't come from the Premier League because they've just chucked an advance of however much money that they've got. And yes, they have a lot of money, but you remember that a lot of what they get their money from has also stopped as well. So their tap has potentially been, at least half turned off.
Can I ask a strange question, though? How much is one club's parachute payment? First year?
Down from the Premier League?
Yeah.
Oh, God.
So I believe it to be 90 million.
Wow.
90.
In which case, have we done enough? No.
See, again, it comes back to my point I said last week. It shouldn't be the Premier League's responsibility to help out.
Yeah, at the end of the day, it's business, isn't it? It's business. Like they didn't help out Bury. I think you were saying yourselves last week. If they're not going to help out Bury, then they're not going to go down further and help other clubs out as much.
Yeah,
because,
it's been a nice PR.
Have to force it will. I think the point that through the discussion I wanted to make is that without that support, we'll probably naturally force a restructure, and travel times will go up. Leagues will become broader. To be honest, you might see teams electing again for themselves to say, I can't afford the running costs at this step. I want to go down.
Yeah, you might see potentially, I wouldn't say average teams in a particular league, but you might see teams of a bigger nature dropping down to even lower level.
Yeah.
For example, like obviously our end of the world, the SIL. You might see teams from the furlough none going, right, we need to drop down into here for a while just to be able to survive.
I'm excited to find out what the SIL want to do, because this decision doesn't actually affect them. They can choose what they want to do.
Well, I haven't heard a peep out of them.
Nope.
Honestly, I have not heard a thing. I've been trying to contact a lot of people to find out what is going on. Absolutely nothing. But
at the same time, like that's where you'll lose clubs at a rate of knots. When the season's running, you tend to lose them quick enough.
Well, yeah, the amount of teams have dropped out of the SIO already this year before this even happened.
Yeah, which was quite amusing is the wrong word, but the SIL got expanded this year because of the number of clubs.
And
they've flown out of it.
Yeah.
Just hasn't worked.
It's horrible. It's difficult. Like I said, there's no right or wrong answer. There's only a debate to be had around the whole thing, because some people will look at that 125 million pound gesture and go, "Do you know what? They didn't have to do that. Fair play to them. That's a massive gesture to make." Whereas others, and will question it. Well, that's not enough. But as I said, when you look into the finer bits of it, it's only an advance really on a loan. It's really a loan, isn't it? When you actually look into the nitty gritty of it.
It's government business schemes. All they are is a loan to the businesses. They still got to pay it back.
They're still paying it back. Yeah.
And charge 30% interest on it in places. So
yeah,
there is no silver lining on it, because everyone's got to live. Like, banks have still got to make money. Companies have still got to make money. And the whole reason you'll end up getting people go out of business is because they won't be able to secure the sponsors anymore to keep them running.
Yeah.
Football clubs make money to some extent, but non-league, they tend to just keep the lights on.
Yeah. Very true.
So it's a different discussion at that point.
Yeah. But what do you make, guys? What do you think of the whole discussion that we've had today? Do you think that the Premier League have made a good gesture? Is it enough? Should it be more? Is it down to the FA? What do you think? Let us know down in the comment section of the video. Whose responsibility does this ultimately fall under? And what do you make of the letter that has now been sent to the FA from those clubs asking for the season to not be cancelled? I'd love to hear your thoughts. You can either join in with the conversation, as I said, in the comment section, or over on Twitter. Links for all of our Twitters will be in the description. But I thought what we'd do to sign off on this one today is just to get a bit of a flavour for yourself, Mick, in terms of some of the experiences that you've had at non-league, and just to end on a bit of a cheerier note rather than a discussion of money.
Miserable, haven't we, really, today?
Sorry?
We've been quite miserable today.
It's the lockdown. It's the lockdown. It gets everyone miserable, doesn't it?
It's grinding. The podcast started off so cheery, and they're just grinding you down. And it's just, do you know what? In like 2 or 3 weeks' time, we'll just be like, all right, guys, what should we talk about today? So, how long? First of all, how long have you been doing this now? How long has the Instagram been going for? Just
well, I'm like a puppy in ground hopping terms. I'm a beginner. I started it last season, and done it for. Yeah, I haven't been doing it for long at all. I started it last season and done a few 6 months till the end of the. So I probably started in March or February time. Done it till the end of the season, and then moved house, moved location, moved jobs. So took a bit of a break from it, and then came back to do it the last couple of games, and this whole thing kicked off. So I had to bring it to a stop. But yeah, but it's been a massive in terms of I've suffered from anxiety for quite a period of time in my life, and this has helped massively by putting a camera out in public and filming games. It's helped with confidence, and I think a lot of people can feel the same.
I massively relate to that.
Yeah, I mean, I struggled periods of my life going out because of the fear of anxiety and fear of people looking at you and fear of ashamed of how you look. And then you come out, and football, non-league football, has helped me sort of evolve into a different person, and how many nice people I've met over the course of time I've done it, and it's a different. It's helped me massively at the end of the day.
Yeah, I think you can relate to that, can't you, Adam?
Yeah, I think obviously, as most people know, I've got my position working with Stowe, and that dug me out of a hole big time. And it got me meeting people, and that was part of the reason why I'm finding it harder right now, to be honest. Because I don't have that different mix of people. I don't have that Saturday purpose as much.
Yeah.
And because it was something I was doing for somebody else, I was forced to do it. Whereas if I've got a task that I'm trying to make myself do, it's hard. It's hard to get the motivation, the get up and go to even start it, let alone finish it.
Yeah. Massively, yeah, I get that massively.
So from your perspective, Mick, have you found that the non-league scene has helped in a massive way just because of the community, the aspect that comes with non-league football?
Yeah, it does. It's helped. It's everyone's just so friendly. The people there, it's good banter. I just feel at home. I always get really anxious before going to film a game, just the way I am. But then you get there and you start doing it, and you feel at home. You feel like this is my place now. And then people walk past, and you'd have a chat about anything, and you've met a lot of people who go games with. I've had a fella from Eastbourne who comes up to London to watch Barkingside, come watch a game with me he lives in Eastbourne, took a train up on a weekday. It was Tuesday night, it wasn't even a Saturday.
Wow.
And we watched the game together and that, and it's just things like that. It just proper good.
Yeah. That's the thing. You wouldn't know that from the videos that you do, because they are of amazing quality. And your analysis at the end of it, you wouldn't think that, to be honest.
Because it comes out of your mind, the anxiety. You become comfortable. It's like what I've seen so many phrases over the years where it's like, forget when you're playing football. Because when I used to play football, 90 minutes on that pitch, you forget everything of your problems and your worries. It's just having a good time on that pitch, forgetting about everything. And it's the same with me now with recording it and talking to people and analysing the game. And I think a lot of people out there might be struggling with that as well. And I think when football does return, there'll be a lot of tears and I'm being serious, there'll be a lot of tears of happiness with people finally having it back, because it's a part of life. It's a part of culture for a lot of people.
I find like with what I do, like I'm more involved in the editing and the tech side of it. Like my mate does most of the filming for me, like the main filming, and I deal with sorting out kind of what I want and directing it really. But that time invested afterwards, like when I'm editing and that, I'll just get completely lost in it.
Yeah.
And that's so good.
Yeah.
Like watching over it again, making the best product I possibly can to put out, and doing it for a community of people that I know are interested in it. And a video can be watched by 50 people or 800 people. I know they're not like groundbreaking numbers, but just to see, have people then come up to me the next time I go to the club and talk about it and say, oh, I like what you did there, or couldn't you improve this, or I didn't like what you did there, or could you do this instead?
Yeah.
That interaction, it just keeps me going and keeps me ticking.
But that's the thing. You're never going to be in non-league football for the numbers, though, are you? Do you know what I mean? If you want the numbers, you'd go and record or talk about Premier League football. Do you know what I mean?
This is the thing. We did a Premier League prediction thing, didn't we, at the start of the season? And the numbers on it were astronomical.
Yeah, that was
the numbers that we got that actually looked at the video were astronomical. But as you went down the leagues, the number of views just got less and less.
Yeah.
And it just says everything.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's the thing. If you are wanting to get into non-league for numbers, forget it. It's not gonna. Do you know what I mean? It's not the way to. It's not.
Non-league's about servicing the community, not about making the money.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. So, do you remember your first game that you went to record, and what was? I mean, you've already touched upon it there. What kind of experience was that?
It was mental. I went to watch Housted play Holland.
Yeah.
I think it was like 4-2 or something like that. The Holland keeper got injured, so an outfield player had to come in, and he was actually pretty decent. And just
it's non-league at its finest when that
happened. Exactly. And that was the first game I proper went to and recorded. I was like, this is brilliant. The crowd was great. Loads of goals, proper goals as well. Good quality. And I still speak to some of the players for Housted. I still, and it's just again, it's meeting people. Again, they have a different relationship, don't they? The fans with the players, non-league.
Yeah,
it's great. It's brilliant.
Yeah.
And your best game or your favourite game, one that really stands out? Do you have one?
Yeah, probably Long Melford when they played God Manchester Rovers. I think Long Melford were like 3-0 up, and God Manchester Rovers came back to draw 3-3. Probably going to watch an FA Cup game, Roman Glass St George versus I can't remember the other team, but the quality. Every game's just different in its own way because it's just quality. Braintree Town Reserves, I got smashed in the face with a ball.
Yes, I remember seeing that clip.
Yeah. And claret just went out of my nose onto the poles behind me, and they were just laughing like the players. And I thought it was brilliant because You wouldn't get that in Premier League football because it was just me behind the goal.
A Premier League football, you get a signed shirt, mate.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah,
Very true.
yeah. So no, every game I've been to is really good for you. Of course, you have your stinkers. You have your and that game was Barkingside when that geezer came up from Eastbourne. That was a terrible game. It's like 0-0. It was raining. The quality was terrible, and I just felt sorry for the geezer. I thought, oh, you've come up this way and watched that with me. Sorry about that, mate. But it's good.
Fantastic. Well, two kind of final questions for yourself, then. You've got in your Instagram bio trying to tick off one ground at a time. Do you have a number that you're on at the moment, and do you have an overall goal? There's a 2-part question on
that. I've not a goal. I just want to see as many games as possible, especially now when you can't. When you can't and you want to do it, it's like even more annoying. I do try and tick off every ground. I want to do some big journeys. I want to go up north. I want to go to Scotland. I want to do big journeys.
You'll get the boys on the ground hops.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was thinking of. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. But even going back to clubs that I've seen before, because I just love watching it. I just love. It's not necessarily different teams that I'm watching. It's the quality of football. But to be fair, I only do different teams because I want, the people that do watch what I do to see other teams. I'd go to see a team 3 times, 4 times in a season easily. But yeah, I'd love to do as many as possible.
Fantastic. And advice to anyone at the moment who's currently watching what's going on with Premier League and everything like that. What would you say to people who are considering their Premier League options like you did all those years ago?
They should use their head, like in the politest of terms, because if you didn't think that it's ruthless and soulless now, like before, look at it now. In my opinion, that's my opinion. People still stick by the clubs through thick and thin because it's a history they've brought up with them, But when you look at it from an outsider's perspective and you're seeing certain owners worth 4.6 billion or something like that, and they can put non-playable staff on the furlough, I just think there's something iffy about that. But on the other hand, that's his money. He can do what he wants with it. That's capitalism at the end of the day. That's the society we live in. So I can't have a go at either side. I understand that he wouldn't want to do it. But on the other side, where I'm thinking is just put something in for the club that's probably made you a lot of money as well.
Yeah. So, your advice, come down to non-league. Come down to non-league and see what it's all about, yeah?
Yeah, let's have a good time and that, yeah.
It's about more than just the game, though, isn't it, at non-league? And I'd be really keen to stress that to anyone, is that if you think non-league football is about the 90 minutes, it's not. Get there early, you can chat to the manager, have a word with him, see what he's doing. Stay afterwards, have a beer with the players or whatever. They'll probably end up getting you a drink if you end up doing something stupid like getting hit in the face with a ball. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, it's you get to like make all these different relationships and have a laugh with people, and like I've made good friends through it, and that isn't something that would have happened if I would have kept with a season ticket at Ipswich. I don't think I would have been going around Cole Scuse's house for a dinner party,
Well, you might be going around Luke Chambers' house. He tends to have everyone around there, but that's a topic for another day. Mick, absolute pleasure having you on the podcast. Thank you so much for coming on. Again, I will put all of your details for your Instagram and for your Twitter in the description.
Thank you.
You've been a brilliant guest. Thank you very much for coming on and getting involved in the conversations. Much appreciated.
It's been quality. Yeah. Thanks for having me. Quality.
No, it's been a pleasure going through it, mate. Really enjoyed it.
Thank you.
No worries. And again, same messages before. If you want to get involved in the conversation, as I said, all of our details for our Twitter handles will be in the description. If you want to leave us your comments on Twitter, or if you want to get involved in the comment section, we will reply to every single comment that we get. Leave us your thoughts.
Just to stay on topic as well, and just to prove that there are bigger things than football at the moment, it's just been announced that Prime Minister's been taken to hospital with the symptoms that he's been suffering. So the best out to him as well. It is serious time. So like James said there, like leave your comments, leave your thoughts and everything, but please stay safe.
Leave yourself at home.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. Do not be a muppet. Stay indoors. Follow the advice. You are saving a life, even though you are not doing anything. What more is there to say? Thank you very
Exactly.
much for listening. Take care, guys. And as always on your channel, adios.